Hi everybody, welcome to another video here at Abraham's Table Farm. It is sometime in mid-July, can't remember the exact date, and here we are. Everything is bushy, harvesting lots of things, very busy, trying to stay on top of it, same old story. This is the time of year when we are tired and when it feels kind of like repetitive. You just got to get up and do it again. The excitement of the spring and starting everything is past. The cool, satisfying days of the fall are not here yet. It's just plugging away at everything again and again and again. As you can see behind me, the garden is super full of things. Almost every bed is planted out with something. So that means there's a lot of cultivating, there's a lot of harvesting, there's a lot of trellising, there's a lot of everything really to do here on the farm. But it also means there's a lot of things to harvest and a lot of things coming in, which is fun. So we're just trying to stay cool, make sure we bring plenty of moisture and water into this hot days. So keeping ourselves hydrated, swimming, keeping ourselves cool, all that to kind of balance out the heat and intensity of this part of the season. And just trying to stay on top of things. So today I'm gonna go out in the pasture, jump on the four-wheeler and go out there, and you can see what we got going on there. We've actually got a lot of birds out on pasture right now. We are moving 8 broiler pens right now. Each of those pens has 65 to 70 broilers in it, so there's a bunch of birds out on pasture right now, only for a week or so more, and then one of those batches goes into the butcher again. All our egg layers are still out there. We're now in the declining sunlight part of the year. We've passed the peak, which happens at the summer solstice. So daylight is dwindling, and we need to monitor that because that's a big factor for egg production. Make sure that those birds have enough hours of daylight in order to keep their production going. And yeah, just struggling with tall grass. The grass is growing really, really tall in the pastures, and we don't actually have any cows on our pastures here, so that causes a little bit of a struggle to get through the tall grass that hasn't been grazed down. Our cows are over at another property grazing over there, and so they are knocking down the grass at that location, but just because of some logistical needs, we have them over there instead of over here this year. So let's go out onto the pasture and see those pasture pens and the egg layers and everything that's happening out in the sunny grasslands of the farm. Okay, here I am out in the pasture. As you can see, the grass is really tall here by the coop and where the birds are, but they mat it down wherever they walk. Right here behind me is their feed troughs. So they're getting their breakfast right now. They're all feeding, but there are a lot of them here in the grass, hunting and pecking and going around looking for green things and bugs. It's kind of jungly, which is appropriate because they're a jungle fowl. I just moved the coop with the four-wheeler here. We're just rolling it forward every day. We've gone throughout all this pasture area. This is their feed, which is in a gravity bin nearby. We get that from a local farmer and then pull it out here into the pasture so that we can efficiently bring the feed to the birds. But yeah, we're moving these birds all throughout this pasture. They're laying down their manure. They're transforming this land, bringing the grass back. It was pretty depleted when we got here. And making awesome eggs in the process with lots of green, fresh green in their diet and plenty of bugs as well. So natural, clean, open air environment. We have to move them and these netted fences that keep the predators out. every day or every other day. We're moving the coop every day. The fences get moved about every other day. Yeah, they're just on clean ground all the time, fertilizing the pasture and laying a ton of eggs. There are about 300 birds in this flock, and they all go into this coop at night. There's roost bars in there, and they're nest boxes. They are busy laying eggs right now because it's morning. That's what they do. They get up, they have something to eat, and then they immediately start laying eggs in there in the nest boxes. I'll get up close in a second. The 2 guardian geese are out there as well. We've had a few predator deaths from owls, but it's hard to stop those owls, and we haven't figured out anything that's 100% effective yet. But that's the coop, pretty simple design. Shade cloth that we can roll out to extend shade on the really sunny days, and we're just moving through this end of the pasture. Let's take a look inside a little bit. Inside the coop, there's nest boxes along both sides. These are the nest boxes, the community nest boxes. The chickens go in there to lay their eggs, and their eggs will roll down under this chamber here. I can't open it right now because the birds are standing on it, but the eggs collect down here and stay clean because the chickens can't get to them. They can't peck at them or step on them with poopy feet. But this is the inside of the coop. It's pretty simple, just a little A-frame that rolls along with a mesh floor so that all their droppings fall through. It keeps the floor nice and clean and gets the manure on the grass, which is where we want it. But 300-ish birds can fit in this on the A-frame. There's roosting bars all up on the top there. Roosting bars all along the sides for them to roost on. And that's where they live. Again, these shade cloths can be pulled out and extended in order to give them extra shade on really hot, sunny days. So there they all are, eating their breakfast and laying eggs. Okay, here I am out with the broilers, and behind me you can see we've got 8 broiler pens running through the pasture right now. That's awesome. That is a huge amount of fertility going down in this area of the pasture. Back in this corner of the pasture is an area that we hadn't really pushed the birds yet, and so it was one of the poorer spots on the pasture. We've got really good grass in some areas where the animals have been through a couple times. We've got some poor areas where the animals haven't been for various reasons. But this year we were able to get them all the way back into that corner and get a lot of manure down, which is awesome for the ground and awesome for the grass, and is just gonna jump start it. These broilers are our heavy hitters. We send them in first usually, and they put down a lot of manure and really get the photosynthesis going, and all of the plants jump up really nice and green after that. And then hopefully after that the layers will come through, and cows, on a year that we have cows, and we'll continue to build that fertility. Animals are the best way to build fertility. They are just incredible. Between the high nitrogen manure of the birds and the powerful grass digesting rumen that the cows have that inoculates that grass with a ton of biology, it really puts down a lot of biology in the ground, and that's what starts getting the life going. So we like to use the animals and timing as our 2 primary tools for regenerating land. The animals moving through and having an impact on the ground, and then careful management, which is what us smart humans can do, bringing them through at certain intervals with certain rest periods in between to make sure that the regrowth happens, the roots are put down deeper, then it's trimmed off again, and then it regrows, roots go down deeper. With careful timing, you can make a huge difference. Timing is a tricky thing though, because if you do the timing wrong, you can degrade the land quickly. Too many animals for too long a period without enough rest time can destroy the land quickly. The right number of animals at the right intervals with the right intensity of impact can have a hugely beneficial impact on the ground. So that's our job as managers, is to make sure we have the right animals at the right times, in the right intervals with the right rest periods, to make sure that it all works great. So I'm standing up on top of the feed bin. This is another one of those gravity bins like we had out with the layers. We get our feed, like I said, from a neighbor who grows it all for us, and he grinds it and mixes it according to our specifications. We want to make sure that we have the right grain, that it's digestible, that the right minerals are added, that the right protein and various nutrients are balanced perfectly for the animal's optimal health. He mixes that custom recipe up for us, and then we can drag these bins, fill them at his farm with an auger, and then drag them right out to where we're working with the animals so that we have minimal movement of feed to do. So these 8 pens each have 65 to 70 birds in them. It's 2 batches, so the front 4 pens are 1 batch that is about to go into the butcher next week, and then the back 4 pens is another batch that will continue for several more weeks here on the pasture. And then we've got 1 more batch in the brooder back on the farm center, and they will be coming out to occupy those 4 pens that are emptied soon until the end. And so we're getting towards the end. We probably have 6 or 7 more weeks of broilers moving around on the pasture. So we're just looking for the places where the grass isn't perfect, and we're moving them through that area to boost the ground for future animals. More and more animals can live in this same space happily and healthily. And all because we're building up the life in the soil, boosting soil biology. And you do that through growing plants. A growing root and a photosynthesizing leaf up top is what feeds the soil biology. And so we want to make sure we're maximizing our photosynthesis in the ground. Perennials, like these grass and pasture crops, do that for longer than an annual plant does. There's no bare period where it's been recently plowed or tilled or empty all winter. They protect it through the winter, which keeps the biology on a drip feed through the winter time. And then dense grass plantings like you get in a pasture rather than like a field of crops creates a huge network of roots, all photosynthesizing up and feeding the biology in the soil. And it's really that biology which makes a lot of the minerals and stuff that are natively in the soil available to the plants and then available to the animals as well. So healthy animals depend on healthy grasslands and also healthy feed inputs. And so we're working to make sure that that happens. But you can see that the pasture is really green and really bushy this time of year. We've got a lot of grass to move through. It really would be better if we had some cows out here to graze it down, but that's just not in the cards for this year. Like I said, they're over at another property. You can see Josh out there. He's removing waterers and feed troughs from all the pens, and then we will slide each one of those pens forward to a new spot so that they're getting fresh ground every single day. They're never sitting in their manure. They're never in old, dead ground where everything has been picked off. They're always being moved to fresh ground every single day. So it's a fair amount of hand labor for him to move those pens, but it doesn't take that long per pen. And we get a lot of eyes on the birds. We're seeing them every single day, twice a day as we come out to check on them. And so you have a pretty high ratio of animals to farmers on our farm. We're not raising thousands and thousands and thousands of birds in a large facility. We're doing a lower number of birds. It's a lot more management intensive or involvement from us on a daily basis. But we think it makes a better product, and we think that it makes a healthier product, and a lot of our customers are willing to pay the higher prices in order to get that more nutritious food. And so we're grateful because we have to be able to charge a little bit more in order to do that extra work. That's just the pure economics of it. So Josh is doing that, moving all those birds forward right now and getting them onto fresh ground, fresh feed, fresh water, and that is the morning chores around here. But pasture is going well, really busy time of year, lots of birds out on the pasture, close to 1,000 chickens out on the pasture right now, and going pretty good. So here's just a close-up of one of those pens. You can see all the birds are just lounging. They've got an area of shade in the back where they can go to if they want. They've got sunshine in the front where they can hit. They're pretty comfortable. These birds just eat and digest. They're not nearly as active as the egg layers, but you can see that they're pretty comfortable, pretty happy. They haven't been moved forward yet, and so you can see there's a lot of manure on the ground. I mean, not a ton, but there's plenty of manure on the ground. But in a few minutes, Josh is going to come forward and move this pen forward onto this grass, which is all lush and green and clean. And so those birds will have fresh ground to sit on, lots of grass to poke through, clover even to eat, and be able to hunt and peck for birds and lounge and eat their fill. They've got troughs, which you can see up there on the top of the pen, just 3 simple feed troughs. Those will go down inside. They've got a waterer just sitting right there in the grass. They've got all the birds and the animals have a hose that attaches to a main line so that we can bring water out wherever they are in the pasture. That's really critical because, like I said, these animals are our tools to regenerate the land. And so we need to be able to put them wherever in the pasture, and we need to be able to get their supplies to them. So having a water line that can extend anywhere out, having the feed on wheels that you can take right to where you're working is all an important part of making it efficient and simple. And then I'm just going to show that up there you can see where the birds have been. It's all matted down and there's a good layer of manure here. This is where the birds were, but as we go back here where they were not too long ago, you can see that there's more and more green poking through. And they were back here before that, and there's more and more green through. And as you go back on their trail, you can see that the regrowth is really strong. There's a lot of green grass coming through where they have been all the way up. They started way up there, and it's very green and lush there. So it doesn't take long for the impact of all of their manure to transform the land. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to shop the store. We've got lots of products available right now. Pretty much everything is in season in the garden, so tons of fresh vegetables. We will be harvesting to order and bringing them to you in the drop sites. So place your orders and we'll see you at the drop site. Thanks for watching. Bye.